Hello everybody and welcome to me arriving into Birmingham New Street on a very overcrowded cross-country train. Now today I'm finally going to visit Birmingham, however I didn't get on that many buses and at some stage I must make another trip up to the West Midlands as I had an absolutely amazing blast of a time. However, stay tuned because the buses that I did get on were pretty awesome. Anyway, here I am arriving into the very dark and dingy platforms at Birmingham New Street. Every other part of New Street Station here in Birmingham I actually quite liked, but the platforms were absolutely horrible. Here I am making my way up to the ticket hall here at New Street Station. Although there was an initial queue to get onto the escalators up to the ticket hall, I thought the station itself coped pretty well with the crowds. Although saying that, I didn't arrive into Birmingham until just after 10 o'clock, so perhaps the station would be a lot busier at rush hour peak times. Anyway, here I am making my way to Queensway to get onto my first bus. At this point I didn't really have a plan. Birmingham is just absolutely gigantic and it was too much for me, so I just kind of winged it and went for wherever the interesting buses were. At the time they were all located in Walsall, so here I am on the X51 heading out to Walsall. This is one of the many National Express West Midlands ADL Enviro 400 MMCs. Here I am now at Walsall bus station. I actually quite like the design of it. It was very nice and open and I quite like the circular roof of the bus station itself. However, I didn't have very long to admire the red and white colour scheme at the bus station because my next bus was soon arriving. This would be an absolutely amazing and would unfortunately be the only Dennis Trident Alexander ALX 400 that I would get on. This was on the 29 service and was pretty much completely empty. I will be taking this bus all the way along the 29 route to Blakenall. However, some journeys do continue further on to Bloxwich. This journey would be completely awesome and there was hardly anybody on the bus as well. We only picked up one other passenger. Here I am stopping at a local bus stop in the Rycroft area around Walsall to pick up the only other passenger on this service. Here I am arriving into the turning circle at Blakenall. Here we can see another 29 service leaving heading back to Walsall. This is one of the many Volvo B7 hourly Verticlips 2s that are regularly seen along the route. Here's my next bus arriving into Blakenall to take me a couple stops down the route towards Bloxwich. This was a Caroline Coaches ADL Enviro 200 MMC and was on the 19 service, which roughly operates alongside the National Express 29 route. From what I can see, Caroline Coaches are a fairly new company and haven't operated services for that long in the West Midlands area. Here I am alighting the number 19 service at Bloxwich High Street stop, though I don't believe that this is the actual High Street here in Bloxwich. When I continued my journey on to Wolverhampton, there are many more shops just up the road. Now, although Caroline Coaches are a relatively new company, at least they kept their timekeeping down to a fine art. My next bus was a Volvo B7 hourly Verticlips 2 on the number 9 service heading towards Wolverhampton, and well, National Express hadn't done a very good job at timekeeping on this service. This service, along with a few other journeys after this, ended up running approximately around 20 minutes late, which wasn't great on a service that only operates every half an hour, which is pretty infrequent for National Express services around the West Midlands. After passing through the areas of Bloxwich and Wednesfield, here I am arriving into the absolutely staggering Wolverhampton bus station. This bus station is absolutely massive and is actually quite modern. I dare say this was probably built around the same time as the new tram line was opened. However, I could be wrong with that, I just can't be bothered to do my research. Anyway, even though there is an absolutely massive bus station here in Wolverhampton, some idiot thought it would be a good idea to have a few of the more rural bus services and a few of the independent bus services not even use the bus station at all. So I had to walk along to Wolverhampton Art Gallery for my next and rather interesting bus. Here is a number 59 service leaving Wolverhampton bus station. Although this particular journey was operated by a National Express West Midlands right street deck electroliner, which I personally think looks hideous in the grey livery, it is also operated by rival company Let's Go, who also operate alongside National Express on the number 1 service. And in the Wolverhampton area, not only with Let's Go, but I believe with Bangor Bus on 1 or 2 services, there is a large rivalry between National Express and smaller operators, though Bangor buses in recent years have stuck to contracts rather than rivalry with National Express. After watching a few buses come and go here at Wolverhampton Art Gallery, here is possibly the best bus, although I would say it's the second best bus, of the entire trip arriving in on the 17 service. This is a select bus services Volvo V70L Claxton President and was completely awesome. Now, select bus services don't operate that many routes around the West Midlands. They mainly keep the services alongside Chase Rider in the Stafford and Stoke-on-Trent areas, I believe, although I could have that completely wrong. However, they do operate services such as the 17 service, which operates from rural villages into Wolverhampton. This is a completely awesome bus, and I would imagine it will be retired soon since it was completely knackered. The destination board didn't work, the middle doors didn't work, and the engine sounded completely knackered. Plus the cooling fan was going off like mental. On the inside, the interior just was not in a good way, and the back seats had seen bad days. Anyway, here I am heading a few stops out of Wolverhampton on this awesome bus. After watching that extremely sad-looking bus leave this local bus stop near Newbridge, just on the outskirts of Wolverhampton, here I am taking the Let's Go Service 1 back into Wolverhampton city centre. I quite like this vehicle, though it was just your standard E200. It did have Dennis Dart style seats, and it did sound quite good compared to other E200s. Let's Go and National Express West Midlands both operate the number 1 service in rival with each other, so there was a little bit of rivalry that I saw along this route. But overall, it was plain sailing all the way into Wolverhampton. Here I am arriving back, this time into Wolverhampton, at Wolverhampton Police Station, which is where a number of independent bus services leave from, both operated by Let's Go and Banger buses. Now, although I was finished with the buses here in the West Midlands for now, I wasn't finished with my complete adventure just yet. I had thereabouts just over an hour to get back to Birmingham New Street Station on the other side of the West Midlands area. So what did I do? Well, I was an idiot and got the West Midlands Metro, which is the local tram link in this area. Now, it's supposed to operate every 7 minutes. However, because there were some engineering works going on closer to Birmingham Centre, in the end there was a gap of about 15 to 20 minutes. I'm guessing I just missed the tram, since I ended up waiting 15 minutes for a tram that's supposed to be every 7. Anyway, apart from in Wolverhampton itself, where the tram ran quite slowly, the tram itself was actually extremely nice. It ran quite fast, and in the end got me to Birmingham New Street Station thereabouts 20 minutes before my train, so that was pretty good, and that was including a change at Handsworth due to some engineering work. However, my train ended up being late anyway, for goodness sake, cross country. Here I am leaving Wolverhampton bus station, the tram stop outside it being called Piper's Row, on this West Midlands Metro tram service heading towards Handsworth Booth Street, where I'd have to change onto another tram to head further into Birmingham Centre. This tram was much better than the other tram I went on and had very good visual destination screens and audio announcements.
The next stop is the Crescent. This stop is Bilston Central. Alight here for Bilston Bus Station.
Here I am leaving Bilston Central, which is located just around the corner from Bilston Bus Station. I did look at getting a Banger Buses service to Bilston Bus Station, but it was just cutting it too close. And I'm glad I didn't, because when I was planning that, I didn't even realise I'd have to change at Handsworth Booth Street. Next time I come up here though, I promise I will sample a few other bus companies, mainly Banger Buses and Diamond.
Street. Alight here for Wednesbury bus station.
Here I am arriving into the Hawthorns. Along with the Jewellery Quarter and Birmingham Snow Hill, though the tram stop there has a different name to the mainline station, the main line does actually stop at those tram stops, whereas at the other tram stops, the main line just goes straight by. The main line itself, though, isn't the main line into Birmingham New Street, but is rather the line into Birmingham Snow Hill and Birmingham Moor Street. Chiltern Railways run services towards Kidderminster, or at least they used to, I'm not sure about now, and in the other direction towards London Marylebone via, you guessed it, the Chilterns. As well as this, West Midlands Railways operate local services around the West Midlands using this line. Here I am leaving Handsworth Booth Street on the other tram heading towards Birmingham City Centre and New Street Station. After that, the tram would continue on to Edgbaston Village. I definitely didn't say that right.
And then you see the other ones down at the bottom. Oh God, the papa. We have Jack now. We have a pink coat in dip. I sat down to the car, so I said to the kid, let me go sit in the car. So I went sat in the car. That's it, sir. I went up as what was saying and I heard that. This is, we built this country, it was none of us.
After passing through Birmingham Snow Hill, or thereabouts at least, here I am passing through Birmingham City Centre itself on my way towards Grand Central, which is the closest tram stop and is practically outside of Birmingham New Street Station. Here I am arriving back at Birmingham New Street. Grand Central tram stop is located just outside the station, and the Grand Central shopping centre itself is practically located inside of New Street Station. Or is it the other way around? Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye everyone!